The apocalypse is coming. Are you scared? Are you prepared? The masses are running frantically, running from their fears, running with their tears.
Hello, hello. It's a Sunday morning. How are you? And this is Ray Felix in Warring Comics. Just wanted to slowly ease into this episode. I'm not sure if Miguel is joining us. We missed an episode last week, and I haven't heard from him all week, so he may be busy. There's a 6-hour difference in our times since he's in France. But a few weeks ago, I mentioned this book, one of my favorite funny books, right? It's a comedy, but that DC Comics put out under Piranha Press, which was one of their imprints back in the day. This book has been coming, it was by Doug Monick, with an introduction by Reverend Ivan Stang of the Church of the Subgenius. Now, it is comedy. Keep that in mind. But it does deal with a lot of conspiracy stuff. And because I find conspiracy theory so entertaining, that's all it is. It's entertainment. Food for thought, as we used to say in the Christian circles. There is a lot of different stories here, a lot of different art that I actually want to read to you, since this is a comic book and war podcast. We talk about comics, right? Last few weeks we've been talking too much about Charlie Kirk, and if you're on the internet, you know what's out there. It's just a lot of shit. So it's like, wanted to slow it down a little bit and read you this interesting story called Choppers of the New World Order. And the reason why I want to read it is because of, with all the insanity that's going on in the world about ICE and grabbing people randomly in the streets, kind of like the Gestapo in World War II. I'm not sure how much longer we'll be able to do shows like this. So I wanted to read this to you. And this is my disclaimer. I don't really believe in aliens. I really don't. Have we proven that other life exists on other planets? Yes. Have we proven that aliens have actually come to this planet? Not really. So keep that in mind as I read this, right? Because before the internet, you had books like this, and this was like misinformation. This was like your Instagram or Facebook social media back then. We read books, right? And this is a comedy book. I'll say it again, but there's just certain things about it that just ring true. So within the humor, there is truth. Kind of like when I write my Bronx Heroes and Trumpland book, and if you haven't read it yet, we've had this out for 5 years. Bronx Heroes and Trumpland. It's a good book. It's a parody. It's a comedy, but it's also talks about a lot of different political stuff. So, it's great art, right? Drawn by Tom Siaka, Tom Mahern, and myself. So if you haven't seen this, pick it up. You can find it on our website of bxhcc.com. And without further ado, I'm a little shy. I don't like to talk about my own stuff so much. But I wanted to read you from this. Maybe one day I'll read you from Trumpland. But it's called Choppers of the New Underworld, and it's on page 75 if you have this book. You could read along. But Yo, citizens of terror, the concept of one world government has been a staple of utopian science fiction since H.G. Wells' No Borders, No Wars. But shouldn't the shift from American to Earthling be accompanied by a vote, not of this globalist change is a sinister one, made under dark shadows cast by choppers of the New World Order? According to researchers Jim Keith and Linda Moulton, how mystery helicopters have been fervently chopping our skies since the early 70s. Okay? Black and silent, or nearly so, these helicopters are usually unmarked and therefore unidentifiable in flagrant violation of FAA regulations. There's the art there. You can see that. Beautifully drawn. Seen in remote areas, primarily by ranchers, the choppers seem to be engaged in clandestine night missions, flying or hovering close to the ground with extractor. Oh, sorry, excuse me. They didn't put a dash there. Extraordinary, powerful searchlights. Moreover, nocturnal light UFOs have been repeatedly sighted in conjunction with the choppers. All right. Seeking to investigate these mysterious night doings, more than several irate landowners have been sent packing in panic. The phantom choppers buzz even fired on them. I thought this was land of the free, Jed. Yeah, free to flee, Hank. Now stomp on it. You see the helicopters chasing the truck. The farmers running them off their land, making them think they were aliens, right? So, and too often, Dawn has revealed a dead cow with missing body parts, but no blood or tracks anywhere around the carcass, as if it had been dropped or lowered into place from the air. Ranchers and veterinarians alike swear that these bizarre cattle mutilations by now number in the hundreds, if not thousands, are not the result of disease or normal predation. Chopper cow chopping. Spooky. Body parts, tongues and mouth and teats, sexual organs, cord, anuses are typically excised with surgical precision. The cuts are often showing serrated edges and evidence of extremely high heat. Even though portable laser scalpels did not exist during the first mutilation wave. Necropsy samples examined under the microscope revealed cooked hemoglobin as well as other changes on the cellular level. Yeah, little diagram there. Normal hemoglobin and cooked hemoglobin. Other anomalies include rapid decay, liquefaction avoidance by scavengers, and complete absence of blood in the carcass. Now, I don't remember this happening. This was written in 1991, I think, or 93, but correction, 1995. But it is interesting that they're talking about how the military, which I've said for years, the military is behind these alien sightings, which I agree. Some witnesses reported soundless black choppers, which literally altered the shape and sometimes transformed into disc. Where I live currently in Stony Point in the 90s, around this time, there were a lot of alien sightings around here. And I always said it's probably the military because we have military bases here in West Point. How could you have a ship flying low in the dark with all these weird lights and the military not deploy anything? That was my logic back in the 90s. Again, there's a time before cell phones were like readily available for the common day person, right? and spawning presumably wild tales of camouflage extraterrestrial vampires. Forget the milk, we want blood. You have the spaceship. Again, this is ridiculous. It's comedy, right? Self-professed UFO abductees claim that cattle mutilations are indeed the work of aliens who are monitoring the spread of nuclear fallout throughout the Earth's food chain. Now we know it's big corp, right? Less benign are claims that the aliens require cow tissue and blood for sample sustenance or genetic processing, creating alien human hybrids. Now we know, thanks to the dark web, that a lot of countries sell organs illegally. Right? With its similarity to human blood, cow plasma has been approved by the U.S. Army for emergency battlefield transfusions. I don't know if that's true, but interesting. Assuming the ET element is disinformation, there is more down-to-earth explanation for the phenomenon, which has charged in recent years for reports of lone choppers, entire armadas sweeping skies in ominous formation, often flying lower than FAA minimum of 500 feet to spray an unknown substance. These choppers are said to be extremely loud and apparently involve military, DEA, or other more sinister exercises. Now we would call that chemtrails, right? Here they're saying they're black choppers. Now we talk about chemtrails. So it's interesting how today in the year 2025, could look back at these old books and read them and see how it's like a time capsule of how people were thinking then with conspiracy theories. And in relation to today with our social media, which is out of control, with things that we talk about. Imagine what the books in 25 years from now would be saying about our society today. Okay. So reported results of these spraying maneuvers range from dead birds and pets to extremely sick people. This is how the plague started. The pictures are really hilarious. Great artwork. I mean, look at that, the spaceship. You got like George Bush here, and you got the presidents, and you got some men in black in there. This is also around the time of X-Files. So, but the reason why I decided to read this because this part really reminds me of what's happening with ICE now. Armed men in black uniforms with no insignia and have allegedly used unmarked black choppers in urban warfare training, which included house-to-house searches similar to Chicago's unconstitutional Operation Clean Sweep gun confiscation in 1992. When pressed, authorities have either denied these activities or described them with non-description or classified operations. Reminds me of Waco, Texas, when they went to do a gun sweep of that church. And it turned out horribly backwards and ended up turning into like a hostage situation, and then ultimately the death of multiple religious cult followers, all because they had legal weapons. It was like, what the fuck is this about? Where's the crime? Why are they being attacked? Because they owned a lot of weapons. The government was like, no. One informant blames the mutilations on secret government testings of biowarfare agents, including viruses specifically targeting Orientals. I think they mean Asians. It was the 90s. Moo, not Mao. In May of 1992, Alaska hosted Police 2000 with participating military and police personnel from USA, Canada, and Russia, all merging towards a transnational police organization for the coming global village. Kind of like what just happened in Israel. We had a lot of NYPD and different police forces went there for a convention on policing hosted by the IDF, right? A lot of parallels between now and then. Many black chopper sightings coincide with the locations of detention facilities authorized by Ronald Reagan under Operation Rex 84 and designated for use by FEMA during national emergencies. Each of these 23 concentration camps can detain between 32,000 and 44,000 people. This is the 90s. Kind of like Alligator Alcatraz, right? It is generally not known that the United States has been in presidential decreed states of emergency since 1933, with more recent executive orders granting the president powers otherwise denied by the Constitution. We still see that happening. Examples: suspension of free speech, government takeover, and virtually everything, and relocation of citizens. Absolutely nothing now precludes a declaration of martial law and resultant police state at any time. You got a picture of Bill Clinton, George Bush Sr., and Ronald Reagan saying, "We've been busy." Indeed, the creation of a national police force is already underway, uniting agents of NSA, BATF, DEA, CIA, and FBI with state and local police, as well as elements of the military. ICE. The font is very tiny. That's why you see me pausing a lot. I'm like, what the fuck? I'm like trying to adjust my eyes. I don't wear glasses, but my eyesight is going a little bit. PDD 25, a presidential directive signed by Bill Clinton, May 3rd, 1994, opens the doors directly an unprecedented intervention by UN troops with the borders of America and with the U.S. military itself serving under foreign commanders. Kind of like Qatar building a military force and a military base in the United States. Emergency. Everyone get from the street. And they have this picture of the UN with the military there. You gotta see that. That's pretty wild. Again, the reason why I'm reading this, we're seeing a lot of this happening in our society today, right? And this was written in 1995. So, charges that Canadian bases have already begun turned over to the United Nations control are now joined by numerous reports of large-scale operations involving foreign troops and material in and around U.S. bases. And it says none. I don't know if that's true, but a combat arms survey asks U.S. Marines if they would willingly serve under UN command, while similar survey queried, would you fire on U.S. citizens in the process of confiscating their guns? And the soldier says, do I get to use real bullets? A paranoid might suspect plans to surrender the country to UN control. I doubt it. Creating a new world order orchestrated by the Council on Foreign Affairs, Trilateralist, World Bank cabal, and the other usual puppet masters. So this is funny. This is the conspiracy. The UN is going to use their own military to take over the world. But if you listen to social media today, it's no longer the UN. It's now Israel, right? So they're like, oh, Israel's going to do this. Israel's going to do that. I guess the reason why I'm reading this to you is to show you, like, the misinformation that's online versus the misinformation that was being published in books through humor, of course. It's funny, but misinformation nonetheless. The 1991 Brandt Commission defined the planned global government as a supra-nation authority with international police to enforce the edicts of the New World Order. Just think of me as the big brother you never had until now. Kind of reminds me of the comedian from Watchmen. And this dictatorial and unconstitutional tyranny, any protesters would be declared the enemy in an all-out waged war by the government on its own citizens. Kind of like what Donald Trump is doing right now. Big brother knows best. We the people will be crushed. And guess what? Sorry, I gotta adjust my eyes. The perpetrators and readers of this very book would be the first roundup of detainees. See you behind barbed wires. It's a funny and scary story. Scary because, when I was probably like 20, 21 when this came out. The cabal of doom. But I say scary because, even though it's called the Big Book of Conspiracies, and it is conspiracy theories, a lot of what they said is true. Also, I found this interesting to mention since, we went through a lockdown in 2020. And like looking for stuff here. It's my makeshift art table. So looking for stuff here. A lot of interesting has happened. Things from the past, when you're young, you're like, oh yeah, that's so true. And then you get older, you're like, that was bullshit. I find I take everything with a grain of salt, and I try not to take things too seriously. People hate me for that, but because I just post a whole lot of shit. If you follow me on Instagram or Facebook, you know that. And none of it's with malintention. But I think sometimes you have to sift through the shit and kind of see where people stand and kind of just like, hey, what is this? Like, what do you think? So, yeah, something to consider. So with that, I got a few things to show you, right? Things that I would say is reminiscent of what's happening today, right? There's a movie my wife just brought to my attention called State of Organs. All right. Now, that book was talking about animals, missing organs, stuff like that. There was a group called Falun Dafa that came out in the 90s. Again, going back to the past. And at one point, they became so popular, they outnumbered the members of the Communist Party. And they weren't happy about that. They're like, because they're like kind of anti-religion. So there's this new documentary. It was brought to my attention that I want to show you. I don't know if we'll get blocked or blurred. I mean, they might block this because but I'm going to share it. Let's see. what you think, talking about this.
For all the ways you watch, we're with
Not
you.
that. This is a commercial. I thought I had this queued up. This freaking thing just puts an ad on it. How annoying.
Get the IMDb
Get
app
really
and find your next favorite.
Irritated.
我们等一下呢，我们在昨天有给大家关心到了这个有关于国
Yeah, messed up. Here we go. Play trailer.
For all the ways
Put it
you
again.
watch, we're
Jesus
with you.
Christ. So irritating. Oh, anyway, this film
Get
here.
the IMDb app and find your next favorite.
How annoying.
我们等一下呢，我们在昨天有给大家关心到了这个有关于国有器官这样的一个话题这跟器官移植不太一样。器官移植就是人。
No, that's not the trailer. Here we go.
Sleek straight hair is such a power move and the
so
perfect
annoying.
style for a
I
girl's
really
night out.
hate
We're starting with the
internet
cheap
now.
thermal protection spray. This is to prevent heat damage.
Here we go.
我对面的医生让我去取眼球，当我望向他时，我看到他十分恐惧的眼，他的眼皮还在动，
Looks like it's not showing.
还是活的。
Here.
My sister loved singing and danced well.
Hear the audio.
My sister was kidnapped by police.
My brother and many practitioners benefited from the practice that made them healthier and better people. He said that he would contact me again, but I never received any call from him.
There was nothing in the criminal code that said it was an offense to be a Falun Gong practitioner. Jiang Zemin simply decreed that it was.
Falun Gong teaches truthfulness, compassion, and tolerance. The practitioners strive for a virtuous life.
The goal was to eliminate them from Chinese society.
Danger was lurking around every corner.
If we were detected by the authorities, we would be incarcerated.
There could have been extermination camps in different places.
Why did you check my health? The donor was tied with ropes.
Killing a person is like gutting a hog.
There's been a far larger slaughter of practitioners of Falun Gong for their organs than we had originally estimated.
There
is no point in living. I have no way out.
When we get to heaven, we will see each other again.
我希望这样的事情在人类永远不要再发生。
Now,
for all the ways you watch, we're with you.
I never really keep things up here. We have all these stupid commercials. It's annoying. So that's an interesting documentary that's out now, and apparently they're trying to block this film from being played, not just in China, but in Taiwan. And something to be aware of, In this country also, we had about 2 million people disappear last year. Look it up. First, it was Native women, like Native Indian women. Then it was Black women. Then it was Hispanics. And then people. Like, that means, I guess they really say just people. It includes whites. But like, gone, disappeared, vanished. No trace. Like, what the fuck? And you have like same thing happening in Palestine, where people are disappearing or being arrested, locked up for years, and then their bodies were just recently returned during that Hamas ceasefire thing, and bodies were found without organs, missing organs, missing eyes. So that's a huge business, the black market. A few months ago, there was a group in Brooklyn that was selling black market body parts, and in Long Island. They don't really talk about this stuff, but a lot of horrible shit's going on around the world. And I had mentioned the pandemic before during the lockdown, right? There's a lot of conspiracy on that too on the internet. I mean, it's mind-blowing, but in the infancy of the internet, there was this article that came out, which I published. Well, I printed it. I didn't publish it. This article, because I had a feeling it would disappear. And this is from January 27th, 2005. It's like 15 years before the pandemic lockdown. Author theorizes 40 microbiologists killed before unleashing the ultimate epidemic. That people thought this was a conspiracy theory back in 2005, and then we experienced a global lockdown. So I'm not going to read the whole thing, but it just says, author Stephen Quayle alleges that 40 microbiologists have died under suspicious circumstances in the last 4 years, most of them specializing in vaccines and bioweapons research. The death included stabbings, drownings, plane crashes, and hit-and-run crashes. Some were ruled suicides. There have only been several who've died of natural causes. Below is a partial list of the dead microbiologists and scientists. This is fucking scary. So, all these people that are working on experimental viruses for our government, right? These are employees, right? You'd think this would hit the news. This was a news article. I don't remember what the source. So I printed this years ago. I was so freaked out by this art. Oh, it was rents.com. Anyway, I want to just read a few pages from this because I just thought when it came out, I was like, what the hell? I mean, like, what is this? Like, what is this? What am I reading, right? And then what you have is basically a comprehensive list of people who have been killed, doctors, microbiologists, that in very strange ways. So there's a few here. I don't know. Let me try to go in chronological order. So this is just a few. November 6, 2001, Jeffrey Paris Wall's body was found sprawled next to a 3-story parking structure near his office. Mr. Wall, 41, has studied at the University of California, Los Angeles. He was a biomedical expert who held a medical degree and also specialized in patent and intellectual property. It had been alleged that Jeffrey Wall had a connection to biofilm. Found dead. November 16, 2001, Dr. Don Wiley, 57, disappears during a business trip to Memphis, Tennessee. He had just bought tickets to take his son to Graceland. The following day, police found his rental car on the bridge outside Memphis, where his body was later found in the Mississippi River. Wiley was one of the world's leading researchers of deadly viruses, including HIV and the Ebola virus. He was an expert on immune system response to viral attacks. Strange. Your hair is not raising up on your arms yet. I don't know what it's waiting for. November 21st. Notice this is all 1 month in the year 2001. World-class microbiologist, a high-profile Russian defector, Dr. Vladimir Pashnik, 64, dies of a stroke, natural causes. Pashnik, who defected to Britain in 1989, succeeded in producing an aerosolized plague microbe that could survive outside the laboratory. He was connected to the British Spies Agency and recently had started his own company. In the last few weeks of his life, he had put his research on anthrax at the disposal of the British government. Anthrax was a big deal back in the day, in light of the threat of bioterrorism. So back in the day, after 9/11, there was this whole hubbub about anthrax, and they were worried about that the Muslims could drop anthrax on us, and a lot of news coverage. Turned out it was an American that released the anthrax, and he was trying to get his shares up, and he was arrested. A physicist from a college. Yeah, I'm not going to read all of this, but it's freaking nuts. November 24th, 3 more dead microbiologists. A Swiss air flight from Berlin to Zurich crashes during its landing approach. 22 are killed and 9 survive. Among those killed is Dr. Yaakov Matzner, 54, Dean of Hebrew University School of Medicine, and Professor Eldor, 59, head of hematology department at Ichlov Hospital in Tel Aviv, a world-recognized expert in blood clotting, and Avishai Berkman, 50, director of Tel Aviv Public Health Department and businessman. What's interesting about this is that we just recently had a flight this year of specialists and microbiologists that all died on the same flight in a plane crash. December, we're still in 2001. This article was written in 2005. It's like 5 years of people dying. December 10th, 2001. All right. Dead microbiologist Dr. Robert Schwartz, 57, was stabbed and slashed with what police believe was a sword in a farmhouse in Leesburg, Virginia. His daughter, who identified herself as a pagan high priestess, what the fuck, and 3 of her fellow pagans have been charged. What the fuck? That's from the Globe and the Daily Mail, I guess. And the Mail. All were part of what they call a coven, and interested in magic, fantasy, and self-mutilation. The police have no motive as to why they would have wanted to kill Schwartz, who was a single parent and said to have been very close to his children. Schwartz worked at a Virginia Center for Innovative Technology on DNA sequencing and pathogenic microorganisms. That is fucking weird. December 14th, 2001. Dead microbiologist Nigel Van Set, 44, dies in an airlock filled with nitrogen in his lab in Geelong, Australia. The lab has just been written up in the journal Nature for its work in genetic manipulation and DNA sequences. Scientists there had created a virulent form of mousepox. They realized if similar genetic manipulation was carried out on smallpox, an unstoppable killer could be unleashed. Remember monkeypox? Now we're in 2002, January. 2 dead microbiologists, Ivan Gelab and Alexei Breshlinsky Glebov, died as a result of abandoned attack. Breshlinsky was killed in Moscow. Both were well known around the world and members of Russian Academy of Science. February 9th, 2002, microbiologist Viktor Korshunov, 56, is bashed over the head and killed at the entrance of his home in Moscow, Russia. He was the head of the microbiology subfacility at the Russian State Medical University and an expert in intestinal bacteria. February 11th, 2002. I don't know what the fuck's going on here, but I mean, I don't know. In retrospect, surviving 2020, right? We saw over 1 million people died in this country and worldwide. It's millions of people died from a virus. Going back into time to 2001 and 2002, you have all these fucking people dying that were actually working on similar shit, right? Within that similar field, right? February 11, 2002, dead microbiologist Dr. Ian Langford, 40, is found dead, partially naked and wedged under a chair in his home in Norwich, England. When found, his house was described as blood-splattered and apparently ransacked. He was one of Europe's leading experts on environmental risk. Ooh. February 28, 2002, two dead microbiologists in San Francisco while taking delivery of pizza. Tanya Halsmeyer, 46, was shot and killed by a colleague, Guiyang Huang, 38, who apparently shot himself. Halsmeyer moved to the U.S. from Russia in 1989. Her research focused on part of the human molecular structure that could be affected by medicine. Halsmeyer was focusing on helping create new drugs that interfered with. Gotta turn the page. Focusing on helping create new drugs that with replication of the virus that causes AIDS. 1 year earlier, Halsmeyer obeyed senior management orders to fire Huang. Isn't it funny? Like, I don't know if you guys know anything about the COVID vaccine, but they did take dormant parts of HIV to construct that. That's not a conspiracy, by the way. That's actual facts. March 24th, 2002, dead microbiologist David Wynne William, 55, is hit by a car while jogging near his home in Cambridge, England. A lot of English and Russian scientists. He was an astrobiologist with the Antarctic Astrobiology Project and the NASA Ames Research Center. He was studying the capability of microbes to adapt to environmental extremes, including bombardment of ultraviolet rays and global warming. March 25th, 2002. Dead microbiologist Stephen Mustow, 63, dies when the airplane he was piloting crashes near Denver, Colorado. He worked at a Colorado Health Science Center and was known as Dr. Flu for his expertise in treating influenza and expertise on bioterrorism. Moscow was one of the country's leading infectious disease experts. Moscow, excuse me. November 2002. Dr. Benito Q, 52, was an expert in infectious disease and cellular biology at the Miami Medical School. Police originally suspected that he had been beaten in carjacking in medical school's parking lot. Strangely enough, though, his body showed no signs of the beating. That's weird. Dr. Leland Rickman, a UC San Diego expert on infectious diseases, and since September 11, 2001, a consultant on bioterrorism. He was 47. Rickman died while on a teaching assignment in Lesotho, a small country border on all sides by South Africa. He had complained of a headache, but cause of death was not immediately known. The physician had been working in Lesotho, with Chris Matthews, director of UC San Diego Medical Center's Owen Clinic, teaching African medical personnel about the prevention and treatment of AIDS. Rickman, the incoming president of the Infectious Disease Association of California, was a multidisciplinary professor and practitioner with expertise in infectious disease, internal medicine, epidemiology, microbiology, and antibiotic utilization. It just goes on and on. I don't know if I'm going to keep going. We're in 2003 now. How many more pages I got of this fucking shit? An interesting article. I actually looked up the website. It no longer exists. A few weeks ago. I'll try it again. Rents.com. No, it does not. Oh. Looks like it's back up with some Charlie Kirk shit. This thing was gone for a while. Interesting. We're not going to go into that. So, this, it's just, it makes you wonder. Hey, if you Google that title, maybe you'll find the article still online. But it just makes you wonder. There's a lot of evil in the world. Yeah. Fucking weird. I don't know about you, but I had to stop. And now we're shifting gears. So we went from the comic books to, the conspiracy theories, comparing them to, social media today. And now microbiologists killed. And now I'm going to move forward because I don't like to stay stuck on the same thing. I have a little ADHD, I think. In my head, I mean, it's a little bit of ADHD. I can't focus, sometimes. But I want to share this with you. It's a little reel from the Wizard Basan. So let's try that. Let me try sharing the screen on that one. And let's see. Here we go. This was October 13th. This is after the ceasefire was declared. I'm going to give her the full screen. And let's play this. Start from the beginning. Here we go.
Down almost an hour, and I know that it will not do anything, but just I can't just watch it by myself, feel everything I'm feeling right now, feel angry, feel helpless by myself. I just still cannot believe that this is happening for our children. Israel until now killed almost 17,000 children in the most brutal ways ever, and yet it's not enough. 2 hours ago, these children were playing football in the street in the Shata refugee camp in the west of Gaza City, in the north of Gaza Strip. And they were like playing in the middle of the rubble of the partially destroyed places because they're children and they don't know anything else to face all of this but playing. And they were killed. 2 hours ago, they were playing around their mothers and fathers who are not helpless also. And now there are coffins and they died. They died, just like the thousands of children before. These people did not evacuate the north of Gaza Strip, not only because they stick to the right to stay, but also because people are not safe in the south. People are not safe in the south. 2 days ago, Rafidia massacre in Rafidia school in Deir al-Balah happened. About 30 people were killed, and we also saw children cut into pieces, just hands away from heads, away from legs, and all these scenes that keep reminding us that they are trying to normalize all of these things. They are besieging the north of Gaza Strip for the 9th day in a row. Then when some people succeeded to escape to Gaza City, also in the north of Gaza Strip, they bombed them. They keep bombing people wherever they are, in Jabalia, in Beit Hanun, in Beit Lahia, in Saftawi, in Gaza, in Rimal, in Shata, in Shujaiya, in Tufah, everywhere, just everywhere. Because it's the thing. They don't have rules. It's a genocide. The only thing they want is to kill people. To kill the people. To reach to a zero population, no Palestinians, like annihilated Palestinians, by killing them.
Yeah, and it's pretty heart-wrenching. Ceasefire was declared a while ago. They never stopped bombing. So I think they want Americans to think, hey, yeah, there's going to be peace. I mean, you have massacres in Ukraine too. You have genocide in Congo, right? You have a lot of stuff going on in the world. I'm surrounded by loved ones. I'm surrounded by all this shit, toys and stuff. As Americans, we're very, very fortunate to not be in that situation, waking up to bombs, waking up to death, waking up to your relatives dying. So I think it's our responsibility to use our privilege to put ourselves on the line and bring these out to people, because there's so many people out there that just don't know what the hell's going on. Like they're watching Netflix and watching Stranger Things and whatever other fucking show is hot right now, like a Poker Face or what have you. They're not checked in to what's happening. They're not even checked in what's happening here with ICE. And I mean, some people think what the ICE is doing is great. It's insanity. Like, just grabbing people and, yeah, it's our jobs to bring awareness as to what's happening in the world and try to make the world a better place. And if you don't think it's your job to make the world a better place, just to shop and raise your kids and get old, retire, and die, then you're not really part of this human community. If you think it's okay for people to be deported and grabbed up and American citizens to be arrested without a due process, you're not an American. You're not an American. You don't stand for the values, the struggles that Americans who've died, soldiers abroad, our ancestors here fought and strived for these rights, the civil rights movement, the Black Power movement, all these, you had the Rainbow Coalition movement, you have workers' rights, the unions, Jimmy Hoffa, all this stuff. We have all this shit that we take advantage of and take for granted because people died for these rights that we have. Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, Jimmy Hoffa, President Kennedy, Bobby Kennedy, John Lennon. I'm just like pulling names out of hats. Soldiers. My father got cancer while fighting abroad. People fucking died for your rights. You don't have the right to sit back, watch TV, and shut out the rest of the world while this shit's going down. It's your responsibility as an American citizen to be active, to participate, not just in your elections, but to participate in change. Change is unavoidable. And as they strip your rights away and freedoms from other people, if you sit back and do nothing, it will eventually come home to roost to your doorstep. So if you think Palestine's about religion, it's not. It's about resources. It's about natural gas in the north of Gaza. It's about a land grab so that Donald Trump can have a resort, right? So people can have several summer homes. It's basically what happened and how the West was won, like how how we killed all the Indians, took their land, broke the treaties that we had with them, gave them smallpox, gave them disease. History is repeating itself because we're an awful, fucked up species. But not everyone's fucked up. There's a small percentage of us that give a fuck and are doing our utmost to change the world. If you can't change yourself, change the world. Change the world. All right? Or change yourself. But we have to move on, carry on, power on. And with that, we are at 54 minutes. and this is probably my shortest broadcast ever. But think about everything that's happening in the world. Think about how you can make a change, how you can make a difference.
Just do this one.
You know, and you can make a difference. You can make a change. One person can make. Martin Luther King Jr., I mean, he had an entourage behind him, but he was the forefront of a major movement that changed our lives, changed the way we live, the way we go to school, integration, voting rights, and not just for blacks, but for women, for Hispanics, for Hindus, for Asians, for everyone that's American, right? It's your responsibility to make the world a better place, right? So, you know, get to it. What are you waiting for? And with that, I leave you with this song. And hopefully it may inspire you to act, to change, to denounce the stuff that's going on in this world, and participate in making this place a better place, a better one. You know, it's really up to you and me, and to abolish hate. So,
death to the red hat, death to the white hood, death to the all right. White flight, white plight. Whites think that might is right. Whites think that they have been abandoned and misunderstood. They think America has forgotten their greatness and wants them to remember that they built this country on the backs of people of color, not their white fathers, sisters, and mothers and brothers like they were led to believe. They allowed themselves to drink the Kool-Aid and be deceived. You're not misunderstood. We hear you loud and clear. We see you illegally deporting migrants because of your white fragility and you white fear. Back away, Karen, stop filming me. I don't want you to come near. I don't need to show you ID or explain why I'm here. Death to the red hat, it doesn't make America great. Death to the white hood, it's a symbol of hate. Death to the alt-right, they fear that the Jews will replace them. But kidnap immigrants, beat, jail, and deport them. Immigrants are the spine of this nation, they work. They fingers to the bone while you red hats shop at the mall to spend all of your tax-free dough. Even though you point the finger at my mind, call her a welfare queen. What the fuck does that actually mean? You rigged the system to benefit your race. Now you look at us coming up like the Jeffersons and try to keep us in our place. We're moving on up, so get out of our way. Mexican immigrants had the border cross them and not the other way. You demand respect, but your addiction to fentanyl, Oxycontin, and heroin has you walking the beat like the living dead. Zombies strung out, passed out and stinking up the streets, living under bridges, parking lots and scream, it's a free country, what the heck? Keep your ass in check, Latinos outnumber you. Your clouded white privilege shrinks you in the closed-minded spec. People of color are rising up and demand your respect. Death to the red hat, it doesn't make America great. Death to the white hood, it's a symbol of hate. Death to the alt-right, they fear that the Jews will replace them. But kidnap immigrants, beat, jail, and deport them. You wear a mask even though you have a badge. You cover your shame, you arrest and you blame, because you want to win the game, to claim a land that was never yours just the same. Your power may reign over the land. You truly know that land can never be yours. Listen to the native Indian, because his path is a lyrical miracle that tells us Mother Earth is here to reclaim the spirits of our ancestors that you've slain. Death to the red hat, it doesn't make America great. Death to the white hood, it's a symbol of hate. Death to the alt-right, they fear that the Jews will replace them. But kidnap immigrants, beat them and mace them. The red hat you wear doesn't make you great, it breeds fear and division. It shows that you are clueless and make poor decisions. It shows your ignorance to the fact that it's through racist acts that make you attack. It doesn't matter if you're white, brown, or black. That red hat don't track. Get your ass back to Wally Martin, get your fucking money back. That shit is whack, fuck that. Red hat, it won't unite your country, so throw that shit back. Get back to your trailer and keep smoking that crack. Because that white American dream with a white picket fence ain't never coming back. You fucked up your life with drugs, and that's a fact. Put on that white hood, because your hatred is well obvious and well understood. Death to the red hat, it doesn't make America great. Death to the white hood, it's a symbol of hate. Death to the alt-right, they fear that the Jews will replace them. But kidnap immigrants, beat, jail, and deport them. Death to the red hat, death to the white hood, death to the alt-right. It matters that you rise up.
Rise up. That's all I have for today. Thanks for joining us for War and Comics. I hope that Miguel is doing well. He might be under the weather. I'm not sure. Have a good day. Take care.